Friends, family, Cam Smith fans, welcome to Back Nine Bets. This is not water, this is rum. It's been a rough few hours. We've known that Cam Smith had been rumored to leave for Live. And we lived in our fantasy world thinking that maybe that would change over the next few weeks. And today, that fantasy was pissed on by Greg Norman, the Live situation, the Saudis, all the people that went originally. It's a sad, sad day for us as a golf community, for us as golf fans, at least for the short term. Because the golf world right now is in absolute shambles. And I'm just going to give myself 8 minutes to chat about this because I don't feel like even doing this podcast because it just sucks that, well, I do feel I'm here to do it and I want to talk about golf. But unfortunately, Cam Smith is one of my outrights. And now we're betting on a guy that's leaving the tour. It's not official, but it's all but. And yes, you put out content and yes, you just bet on these guys to make money. But at the same time, what makes it so enjoyable is the fact that you can find a favorite and you can kind of hitch your wagon to that dude and really get behind who he is as a player, what he does on the course, the kind of excitement he brings you when he succeeds. Even when he finishes second, you're still happy for the dude. And now he's going to Live to make $100 million. Which is awesome for him. Like, I'm freaking pumped for Cam. But it is an absolute nightmare that we're living in right now. And now Live Golf has the world number 2. And if he plays the way we expect him to play this year, the end of the year, in the FedEx Cup playoffs, he can be the world number 1 at some point. I think Scotty Scheffler has to finish outside the top 5, which is unlikely, but Cam can become world number 1. And then the Live freaking golf arseholes have got the number 1 player in the world signed to them, which is something that we never thought would happen. And now it's sending a shockwave through the golf community because who is next? They just dished him out $100 million. They've given out $675 million. $750 million to 6 people or 5 people. How can you even compete with that? And then who knows if these idiots decide, well, you know what? We've served our purpose. We've done our thing. Now golf is done. And they just leave. And then all these people, the whole Live tour is screwed. And all of these sensational players are gone. And the golf world is worse off because Greg Norman had a late life crisis and decided to be a giant arsehole and go to these people in the Middle East asking for tons and tons of money to pretty much sabotage the golf community, the golf world. So fuck him. I hate to say it, but fuck him. Greg Norman's an arsehole. The whole Live thing is a shit show. It's really ruining the vibes. It's not fun when this is happening because you never know where this is going to go to. However, on the bright side, there was a court ruling today that said that the 3 idiots that suck at golf, Taylor Gooch, Matt Jones, and Hudson Swafford, could not play in the FedEx Cup. So screw those 3 dudes that try to come back and piss in the kiddies pool. Go and hang out with the Live people in the deep end. Do your thing. Quit trying to come back here where you guys just left us. So that's that. Apologies for the profanities. It's very sad. It's a very unknown world we're going into now. With Cam leaving, that just opens the door for so many other people. Who the hell knows what other people are going? And the fact that he's going to be playing for the FedEx Cup playoffs and potentially the President's Cup makes it even worse. It's like that best friend that your girlfriend is hanging out with all the time that everyone tells you not to worry about, but in the meantime, she's getting boned by your buddy. And that's what Cam Smith is doing to us right now, which is not cool. You know, I don't appreciate what he's doing. I don't appreciate what they all have done. So that just, it sucks. It sucks that they have to be that way. It sucks that they just can't, like the fact that they just milking, he's second in the FedEx Cup points, going to make so much money and then go make another 100 mil. You know, it is what it is. So anyway, welcome to Back Nine Bets. We're wearing the $100 bill shirt because Tom Kim just committed to become a PGA Tour member. So he is now part of the PGA Tour. We've got a Korean sensation that's signed to the PGA Tour. He's going to be with us until he goes off to military service in 5 years' time. But guess what? Tom Kim might win a major. The way this guy plays, he might win a major. So we'll see what he gets up to. But there's a lot going on. We're playing the FedEx St. Jude Championship down in Memphis at TPC Southwind. It's going to be a fun week, I think. I've got money on Cam Smith. I can't take money out. I can't cash the bets out. They're not letting me do it it's like dimes on the dollar. So we're kind of just riding this. If he wins, I'll just donate it to St. Jude. I don't want that money. It's blood money. We're done. If he wins, we've got him first round leader and we've got him for outright. So if he wins, I'm donating that shit to St. Jude. Anyway, this show is presented by Rotoballer. Apologies for the profanities there one more time. I just feel very, very passionately about this, so that is what it is. But Rotoballer presents this show. They sponsor this beautiful podcast that you guys like to listen to. And guess what? They've got DFS packages that are premium that you can go and subscribe to right now using my promo code, The Maniac. Get 50% off. And then guess what? They've got the PGA DFS cheat sheets, research stations, lineup optimizers, all the fantastic articles that Joe Nicely, Spencer Aguiar, the whole shebang, Rob DFSG, I don't know how to say his last name. They put out fantastic stuff behind the paywall. So go to rotoballer.com/radio. Get it today, 50% off. Use code MANIAC for another 10%. Get your shizness together. It's a great, great situation to be in. The Slack channel that's premium there is awesome. We're in that. We're helping people out all the time. It's a great, great thing to be a part of. So thank you to Rotoballer for sponsoring this podcast. Now that we've got all of that nonsense behind us, let's take a look at what is happening this week. As you can tell, accuracy and strokes gained approach are just the two most important things at this venue. Now, you can get a little bit off the tee. We've seen guys like, Rory exceed expectations at this venue, considering he's not the most accurate off the tee, but he's also kind of long. We've also seen Cam Smith, who's a bad driver of the golf ball, play well here. But the two main things that we're looking for from professional golfers that are PGA Tour members and possibly LIV members to become is accuracy off the tee, good drives gained, basically, same thing, and strokes gained approach. Those are essential. And then, when it comes to strokes gained approach, we are going all the way to the 125 to 200 yard buckets for our proximity ranges. 65%, 64.65%, 65% of shots have historically come from 125 to 200. That's 2/3 of the shots that take place with irons that happen between 125 and 200 yards It is 11% more than tour average. So these buckets, I mean, look at them. They're green. They are so green, and especially 150 to 175. Lots and lots of shots take place from that yardage. And it makes sense why people have succeeded here, because they are good from those proximity ranges. So the rest of them we don't really care too much about. It is what it is. Here is what the model is set at. Here's Brian. Brian bringing some good vibes to the show. Hoping to see the model is rigged, so HV3 is a good play, as someone who loves to play HV3. Well, Brian, I hate to inform you that here on Back 9 Bets, HV3 has been blacklisted. Last year in 2021, he lost us 10 units. I will revisit the blacklist members, which include Harold Varner and Tyrrell Hatton, who have both lost 10 units apiece last year. Not on outrights, on matchups and placings. Those two guys robbed us of 20 units last year, so they were blacklisted. But we will get to Harold Varner. I will definitely dive into him for you. I do like him. I feel spiteful. We might go to him this week. Why not? We'll find ourselves a new favorite golfer. Maybe it's HV3. Thanks for tuning in, Brian. We'll get there in a bit. So, season-wise, we're going 72% 2022, 28% for 2021 by the PGA website splits. Then weighting-wise, we've dumped the course history. It's not that sticky here. So we went 5% and added 5% to the stats. 10% official World Golf rankings and 10% recent form last 24 rounds. Then the 75% that makes up this 100% weighting over here. These stats right here are what make up that 75%. So we got 45% total approach, which is a big number, but that's very, very important. So we've got 20% strokes gained approach baseline, which includes 2022 and 2021 stuff. So all the baseline stuff includes that distribution of yearly weightings. Then the last 24 rounds, we've got 5% on approach, and we've got those proximity buckets that are very important. We've got 4% between 125 to 150, 5% to 150 to 175, and 4% from 175 to 200. So you can see that this is the hot range that we want to focus on. Around the green, we got 5%. Always just sprinkle on that. I don't believe that's a major impactor to the model. Putting, baseline on all surfaces, 5%, 5% on Bermuda surfaces the last 50 rounds, and then 5% the last 24 rounds, just putting over the last 24 rounds. 10% for birdie percentages, 5% for par fives. I think there's only 2 on this course, so that's not that important. And then we've got 20% in total driving. That includes 5% off the tee baseline, 8% for accuracy, 5% for good drives gained, and then a little 2% sprinkle just to make it a nice whole number for recent off the tee performances over the last 24 rounds. And there we go. That is the model. That's what's going on. I don't know how viewable this is. Let's get my face under the thingy, and here we go. I'm going to do this because we usually go through the rankings instead of the PGA DFS slate. Switch this around a little bit. There we go. And as you can see, just rubbing salt in the wounds, Cameron Smith is the number one guy in the model. What do we do? Why? Why is that the case? It's painful, it's insulting, and it makes what happened today even more it just sucks. But anyway, everything about his game suits this course, but you know what? I'm not even going to speak about him. I can't stomach myself to speak about that guy right now. I feel like I've just had a breakup. Justin Thomas, number 2 in the model. A good PGA Tour thoroughbred. We love you, JT. And you know what? You are the best from 125 to 200 yards. So you know what? If I can cash out Cam Smith's outright, I'll just throw it all on Justin Thomas because he's number 2 in the model. He's 21% owned in DFS at $10,200, which is of the cheaper of the bunch at the top here. He's fantastic with his irons lately. But also, you know what? My buddy Hunter Vaness, the Huntsman, he mentioned that JT's recent performances have been a little sketchy. He might have an injury. We've discussed this on previous podcasts as well. Spencer Aguiar, T of Sports, definitely mentioned that. JT has got the potential to have an injury situation. His ball striking's fallen off the cliff a little bit, but that's also at the perfectly wrong time when it was in Scotland, where he doesn't necessarily play that well overseas, and he was injured. Does he come back and play better golf now? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. The model suggests that he's outside of Cameron Smith, who has got a lot of stuff going on. I don't know. People are going to probably heckle him. I don't know. Maybe it's just people that, are going to be at the venue, don't even know that he's going to go to live. So who knows what's going on there. Anyway, JT, I love him, but at 21% ownership, can't go there. There's Scotty Scheffler, right above him in the DFS slate, underneath him in the model. He's third. And Scotty Scheffler is going to be 12% owned. The world number one, who's remaining on the PGA Tour, is going to be 10-8 in DraftKings and 12% owned. Meanwhile, Russell Henley sitting at 13. Meanwhile, Sungjae Im's at 17. Meanwhile, we got Cameron Young at 14. Tony Finau at 20. Yes, Scotty's 500. Scotty's $1,100 more than Tony Finau. And Tony's double the ownership. So make your decision there. I think I'll take the world number one over Tony Finau every single time. Granted, it's $1,100 more, but I've got some sneaky plays down south, which we're definitely going to get into. Some sneaky plays down south. Love those. So let's get to Scotty. JT, I don't know. He might have some injury concerns, and the ownership is definitely driving us away from playing him in DFS. I can't say there's much of a difference between him and Scotty. So let's go to Scotty. His ball striking over the last 24 rounds, sensational stuff. Second in this field. Absolutely beautiful. The approach play, second in this field. And guess what? Scotty is kind of accurate. He's actually a kind of accurate driver of the golf ball typically. So you love to see that at this venue. We saw the accuracy. We saw the approach play. Need to be important here. Very, very important. So we're going to go with Scotty for sure. 12%, 10-8. Love to see that. What else do we like about him? Well, guess what? His recent putting has been atrocious. It's been absolutely atrocious. But on Bermuda surfaces, he's actually really good. And you know what the thing with Scotty Scheffler is he's only lost in the last 17 rounds he's played on Bermuda greens. He's lost 3 times putting. So hopefully we can get a bounce back with the putter. We know that's one of the most volatile stats there is when it comes to associating all sorts of statistics to guys. Putting can fluctuate in and out. Scotty Scheffler is the world number one goddamn golfer. Let's sign him up to have a freaking calendar week. We got Brian over here again. I'm still getting used to comments and stuff over here. So it says the model confirms my concerns. I was between JT Hatton versus Scotty Mito, and this really makes me feel confident about my second group. There we go. I like it too, because we just said it, Brian. Why do you like Tyrrell and why do you like HV3? They are both back nine bets blacklist members. Get away from those dudes. They are no good until we reassess the situation. Anyway, Scotty Scheffler has been putting fantastically. Yes, it was in the beginning of the year, but on Bermuda surfaces, he is very, very good. Very, very, very good. Go check my Twitter. I put out a little write-up on the putting thing for Scotty. I have a feeling he's going to bounce back this week with Cam being in his group, especially. I think he says, you know what, Cam, I'm going to show you. I'm world number one. I belong on the PGA Tour. Screw you. Go do your little luxury festival over there with the Livy guys. I'm going to take down this son of a bitch. I know Cam just said it in his presser, said no comment. Where's my banner? Don't even have that up, yo. Episode 34, presented by Rotoballer, no comment. In Cam's presser, he just said, I have no comment for the live speculations. I'm here to win the FedEx Cup. You know what, Cam? If Scotty Scheffler gets word that you're leaving to live, I bet your ass that he's going to pull out all the goddamn stops to whip your ass and be the world number one, stay the number one guy in the FedEx World Rankings, the whole shebang. Let's go. Let's go. Scotty Scheffler all in. Let's lock his ass up. Let's do it. I want to see it. The ball striking's there. The approach play's there. everything about Scotty Scheffler is fantastic. Resort back to that baseline and we golden. Xander Schauffele, my biggest concern with him is these proximity numbers. And you know what? He has not necessarily been the best when it comes to putting from what am I talking about here? We got Xander. Look at his course history. It's 45th. Out of all the guys at the top, it's one of the worst. And it's probably because a lot of his proximity numbers are letting him down a little bit. You know, he's a good driver of the golf ball. You know, all these top guys aren't necessarily the most accurate because they've all got insane amounts of distance. So we know that these guys can dial it in whenever it comes to being accurate off the tee. So let them just do that. Look at all the distance here. You know, even but Cam's just a crap. He's just terrible off the tee. So whatever. But Xander, I don't have really any interest in playing him unless those ownership numbers get all the way down into the single figures. Then we go. Then we definitely go. But look at these odds for all these guys at the top here. All minus 155, minus 110, blah, blah, blah. So tough to get to any of those bets as well. We'll get there. Sam Burns is going to be our first bet. Rory McIlroy, on the other hand, is something that I've noticed from Rory is look at the last 24 rounds from 125 to 200. Absolutely sensational stuff. He has been really good from there. Typically not so hot. Now he's 11K, 17% owned. Also, what the best part about Rory being 11K is there's all these other studs over here that are really, really good. Now, are people going to want to click a Rory McIlroy at 11K? If you click Rory at 11K, it means that your budget gets cut like crazy. So you have to just. I like Rory. I love playing the most expensive guy in the slate because it means people typically veer away from them unless they're obviously a clear-cut number one. I don't think he is the clear-cut number one in this field, but I think he's going to play fantastic golf. Let's hitch our wagon to Rory. Same thing. If he gets wind of Cam Smith trying to win this goddamn thing and Scotty Scheffler falters, we want Rory involved because he's the goddamn savior of the PGA Tour. This guy is, Brian Kirshner tweeted it out. I wish Rory McIlroy won the Open. I wish he did. I do too. Cameron Smith, I ordered a t-shirt. It showed up. I got a golf polo I was going to wear in a golf tournament this weekend. I don't want to wear that stuff. It feels like I'm wearing mob colors. So it's just a weird situation. I think Rory's going to show up. Look at this recent form. Look at the ball striking. Look at the freaking proximity numbers from 125. He's horrible on Bermuda grass, though. What is going on with the Bermuda putting, Rory? That's a bit of a concern. Yeah, it is. But guess what? His history is not too shabby. He can ball strike the shit out of it. Let's go. Rory McIlroy, 11K. Then we have Sam Burns. Sam Burns is 27% owned. We saw this coming when he was $8,600. What is Sam Burns doing at $8,600? He lost in the playoff in this event last year. What is he doing? He's won 3 times on tour. He's the number 6 guy in the back 9 bets model maniac model. He's $8,600. He's $2,400 cheaper than Rory McIlroy. I know that's a bit of a stretch, but he's $1,900 cheaper than Cam Smith. That's insane. Absolutely insane. So anyway, we can't play a guy at 27%. I'm sorry, we can't do that. That's just goes against game theory. It goes against all principles we have. There's a bunch of other alternatives we can go to. Not a Decky. Colin. We'll do Colin instead, who's half the ownership. And if you tell me Colin's going to play half as good as Sam Burns this week, maybe I'll believe you, but also, I don't know. However, we're going to go for Sam Burns top 20 at plus 175 on FanDuel. That's our first bet of the week. Welcome to Back 9 Bets, folks. It's the Cam Smith funeral parade. I'm drinking straight rum because I couldn't find any other potent liquor in my house, which is probably a good thing. It is what it is. So Sam Burns off the tee. And then, you know what? 27% Sam Burns at this venue is not a lock. His recent approach play has been very, very on off the boil a little bit, kind of like Cam Smith's. Why does his name keep popping up in my head? You need to get him out of there. It's like a bad breakup, folks. I hate to say it. But his history is fantastic, and I think that's what's driving the ownership along with his price. It is what it is, but recently off the tee, not that sexy. All these other boys, I mean, he's sitting in Cam Smith territory, which is, when you're comparing Cam Smith to Sam Burns off the tee, that's not ideal. So Sam Burns at 27% owned, $8,600 is a definite pass in DFS, but plus 175 on FanDuel. Hello, top 20, sign us up. If he finishes, hopefully no dead heat rules, but if he can finish inside the top 20 and we cash that and he just finishes inside the top 20, I think that's mission accomplished. We'll find, hopefully Colin finishes way up the leaderboard, because guess what? We're just going to skip Patrick Cantley. He's 10-3. He's obviously in the model like one of the least favorite guys out of all of these top five. But guess what? Now that I mentioned and just blow over him, he's probably not going to succeed. He's probably going to succeed better than any of these dudes. He's been playing fantastic golf. His last 24 rounds, strokes gained total, he's fourth in the field. But he goes to a venue where proximity numbers, not necessarily that sexy. 125 to 200, he's 50th in this field. Kind of right there with Xander. You know, Rory's shown some promise recently, Sam Burns as well. But Cantley, those proximity numbers are a major concern. They're 50 and 44th over the last 24 rounds and baseline. Not ideal. The putting for Cantley, last 24 rounds, sensational stuff. First in the field. But guess what? Bermuda putting, he's 64th. That's not good either. And the course history is 35th. So, going to blow over Cantley. I don't know why I spent so long explaining why we don't want to go with him, but that is what it is. Colin Morikawa. Now, all these other bets are going to be on BetMGM. BetMGM thinks this is a goddamn major. They've got top 20 bets and top 40 bets, ties paid in full. Odds about as good as DraftKings and FanDuel, just a few points off. If you know me, if you know this channel, if you know this podcast, you know that if you're betting on a guy for a top 20, you want to get the placings paid ties in full. And we will sacrifice 30 points in value. So if I just take a quick little, excuse, I'm showing you guys my secret trade secrets here. But I bet $20 a bet. That's my unit. I'm a poor, broke guy living in Iowa. Just kidding. I'm rich as balls. Kind of rich like Cam. Anyway, not ever. I'm rambling. But ties paid in full, 130. We'll take a 155. Doesn't do anything. Because the 130 is 30 points within 160, and that's all you want. If you can get ties paid in full, we will sacrifice 30 points in value in order to get the ties paid. We want the ties paid because that is how you profit long term. You might sneak away with a quick little no dead heat situation this week, but over the years, those dead heats just eat into your profits, man. It's brutal. Like when you get a plus 430 that gets hit with dead heats, it turns into like a 1-to-1 payout, which is brutal. So just bear that in mind. BetMGM is out there doing God's work this week. It's beautiful stuff. So Colin Morikawa is plus 130 on BetMGM to finish out the top 20. He's plus 150 on FanDuel. We're going with the BetMGM one. Ties paid in full. Let's go. Colin Morikawa's recent approach play, everything about it is inside the top 11. Baseline is first. Obviously, he's one of the best approach players in the world. His last 24 rounds is 24th. His last 12 rounds is 11th. So it's going slightly in the wrong direction, but still very, very good. And then his proximity numbers are bananas good. From 125 to 200, that's his bread and butter. He's not as good from outside 200 as JT is, but that's okay. This course doesn't require that. He's also typically a very accurate driver of the golf ball. He's one of the few guys that actually gets it done off the tee with accuracy versus distance. His distance is still very good. Excuse me. I'm getting my lines mixed up here. He's 64th. So his distance is very average, but his accuracy is very nice. Very, very good stuff. But then you get to the short game situation. And also, if you go find that same thread I was talking about, Scotty Scheffler's putting, Colin Morikawa has gained around the greens. His around the green play has been disastrously bad lately. Very, very, very bad, along with his putting. But his putting has been good and bad throughout the year, no matter if it's a major or a non-major. But around the greens, he's significantly better around the greens when it comes to majors versus non-major events. And he's very bad, particularly at this venue. So if you go find that tweet, it's like if you waiting around the green play, very importantly, Colin Morikawa is going to have a tough time. But also he's hitting his irons really good, so he can definitely get the approaches dialed in, which means he's going to be chipping far less. Hopefully he can have a freak chipping week as well. And then we go. $8,700. Let's jump. He's going to be right above Sam Burns. It was 27%. Sam's going to be owning all that ownership. Let's go to Colin Morikawa. Absolutely cool with that. Sign me up. Colin Morikawa suits the ball striking metrics that we're looking for here. Let's go. Tom Kim is our next guy we're chatting about. He's 9th in the model. He's played 7 events. This is going to be his 8th or whatever. 7 straight. This is his 8th straight coming up. But what we do know about Tom Kim and what we love about him is he's the reason we're rocking the $100 t-shirt, folks. He won last week. He freaking won that tournament. Can you believe it? What a crazy performance. Absolutely sensational from the Korean sensation. Beautiful stuff. Short game. First. Now, we've got 8 rounds of golf only in this situation. So his sample size is tiny, about as small as he is height-wise. A little chunky, but it's okay. We love Tom Kim. He chews along. And we're going to him for a top 20. Top 20 plus 150. I think this dude has finished inside the top 20 pretty much 75% of his starts. They're giving us plus 150 to do it again. At a course that requires accuracy off the tee. At a course that requires exceptional iron play. Look at what he can do. I don't give a crap about these proximity numbers. I don't know. He's got very limited sample size and the data isn't even in the PGA Tour website, so I had to go and manually input this stuff. His short game is great. His putter can light it on fire. His driver is super accurate. His irons can sizzle. Everything about this guy is like the next Cam Smith. Okay, that's going to be our new favorite person on this podcast is Tom Kim. He's 8K in DraftKings, 16% owned. I don't know if there's other pivots around that range, maybe like a Joaquin, which is way down there. Russell Henley is 13% maybe, so maybe you can jump to Russell instead of Tom. But at 15, 16% owned, this guy's on fire. If you want to ride him, ride him. I like Tom Kim. He's got everything we're looking for this golf course, especially look at this accuracy. He's been so accurate off the tee, and that just sets up your hole for the rest of the hole. If you're in the fairway, it means that you're not playing defensive golf. It means you're just banging it close. You're hitting it to the right side of the pin. You're leaving yourself uphill putts. You're avoiding short-siding yourself. There's a beautiful myriad of repercussions that come when you hit yourself into the fairway versus in the rough. And this Bermuda rough is so penal. If you miss it, you're playing defensive golf all the time. So just bear that in mind. Tom Kim is super accurate. We've got an outright on him. We're going back to back. He's our second outright. We're going to Tom Kim. We've got 55-1 on Bet Rivers. Let's go to Tommy Kim. Back to back. Ride that train while it's hot. I don't care. Maybe he sucks this week. It is what it is. You got to shoot your shot. We kicking ass. Breaking 100 on Rotoballer, which the article I write. Just going to do some quick. I'm just going to blow myself real quick. We up 17% return on interest this year. So we're betting $100 a week in that article, and we've made $365 this year in 21 events. So we are out here just kicking ass. Okay, this podcast does the exact same stuff. We bet even better numbers. We get even better numbers. It's a wonderful thing. So if you're following along, we kicking butt, people. I hope you're having a good time following, and I really appreciate you guys' support. So thank you for joining. Tom Kim, outright. Tom Kim, we'll play some chalk on Tom Kim. It could blow up in our face, but let's ride that train, baby. Let's ride that train. That accuracy, those approach play numbers, the short game, everything about his game is just lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Then you get Tony Finau, who's 20% owned. at $9,700. We've got Willie Z, who's $9,500 right by him. We've got Matt Fitzpatrick, who's 13% owned. So let's just do this just for the sake of DFS, because none of these guys are going to be bettable. We're not betting them because their odds suck. The wife's coming home, so the dogs are barking, and it's going to happen. So the life of a podcaster goes on. Let's take a look here. So we got Matt Fitzpatrick, Tony Finau, Will Zalatoris, and then even look at this, Jordan Spieth. So Tony Finau 20%, sitting right in between Matty Fitz and Willie Z. And then we got Cameron Young sitting underneath those two guys, and then Jordan Spieth at $9,100. From a game theory perspective, Jordan Spieth, I know I said on the DFS BetSperts podcast earlier today, I'm not a fan, but 10%, that's like one of the, you got to go out of the first 19 guys on this board, he's got the lowest ownership. Jordan Spieth, his ball striking last 24 rounds is 22nd. His strokes gained total the last 24 rounds is 13th. His around the green game is exceptional. His putting the last 24 rounds is 37th, which is really good considering his baseline putting has absolutely resorted to toilet bowl situations. He's been putting atrociously. It's been moving in the right direction. I told Ron, if you're listening, please know that this is not a situation where I'm actually retracting what I said earlier. I'm going Jordan Spieth, especially at 10% ownership. It's going to be one of those things. $9,100, we get a proper discount on him. Tony Finau has been playing fantastic. He has never really played that well at this venue. He mentioned it in his presser. Look at that, 61st in course history. Now he is playing completely different golf right now. The guy just won back-to-back tournaments. He's kicking ass. But if you're going to play a DFS play, Tony Finau might not be that guy. There's other very good alternatives around him. So Willie Z, my boy Ron, big fan of him. Approach play, look at that. All of it looking really, really tidy, really, really neat. Same as Tony, obviously. But at 20%, there's definitely other pivots we can go to. Absolutely love Willie Z, Cameron Young, Jordan Spieth, and even Matty Fitz. Jon Rahm, we just completely brushed over. One of the best players in the world in a long time. But the approach play, look at this. Yellow across the board. And the short game also, just a whole lot of yellow coming in. Bermuda putting, even worse than his baseline. So nothing about Jon Rahm inspires confidence in us. And that's just kind of what it is. It is what it is. We got Brian here still following along. Brother, cheers. Thank you for following. I'll have another sip of rummy for you. Great entertainment. And then we'll see what Matt Kuchar. I love Matt Kuchar because you guess what? He's fantastic. He's got an elite skill set. We'll get to him. So let's scroll down. Let's scroll. Colin Morikawa we've discussed. Sam Burns we discussed. But now we're getting out of the model ranking thing. Let's go do this quickly and get back to what we were here for in the beginning. So we've got stuck at Tony Finau, Jon Rahm. Oh, that's why we never discussed him, because he's all the way 12th in the model. Jon Rahm, former world number one, is 12th in the model at 10K. 15% owned. Jon Rahm, 10K. Now, we've done a Jon Rahm wedge watch. We know that's a thing. We know his wedges are particularly bad. But what does Jon Rahm do? He's over the last 2 years, the best ball striker in this field. Over the last 24 rounds, he's 12th. And that's mainly got to do with his off-the-tee stuff, which is not that important, as we saw earlier. We know that approach play is king. Absolutely king here at TPC Southwind. And his approach play is just ass. It's not doing us any favors right now. And the short game as well. So there's going to be a lot of Jon Rahm's game that has to bounce back this week in order for him to really get to that salary, in order for him to get to that ownership. I want nothing to do with Jon Rahm. So we're going to move on from him. Victor Hovland, on the other hand, ball striking is 7th, baseline 26th over the last 24 rounds. But when it comes to these proximity numbers, Victor Hovland is one of the sexiest players you can find. He's exceptional from 125 to 200. Very, very, very good. But then you get around the green. And it's like a balancing act. If Victor Hovland has a really good approach week and a very good driving week, he's also one of those guys that hits it really far and maintains a very decent amount of accuracy off the tee. As you can tell by his off the tee numbers, He's 12th on the field baseline, and over the last 24 rounds, he's 32nd. So that is some sexy stuff. So if he can hit it in the fairway, it gives him, it's like dominoes. You know, you've seen that ad with the dominoes that are small, and the first small domino hits, and then the next one goes and knocks down a bigger one. That's basically what happens at this venue. If you miss the fairway, the small domino is not going to knock down the big one. It's just going to cause you walls to jump over. But if you hit the fairway, it means that your approach shots are going to be that much easier. And this guy is one of the best in baseline and recently. So he's been hitting his irons really, really well. He's also a very, very good putter typically, but Bermuda is not the best surface. He's 13% owned, 9K. I'm indifferent. You guys make your own decision on that one. Hideki Matsuyama can do the same thing. I think he's going to live as well. From a DFS play, I'm not dealing with his withdrawals. I'm not dealing with any of his nonsense. I've been burnt by him so many goddamn times, even though his proximity numbers are sexy as balls. I don't think 13% is enough for me to bite at Hideki. I don't think I can trust that. Granted, he's half the ownership of Sam Burns at pretty much a cheaper price. So if you're looking for a pivot, you can go to Hideki. Do that at your own will as well. So then we got Matty Fitz, who's all the way down here in 15th, and his main reason is because the proximity numbers as well. From 125 to 200, he's 100. He's very, very bad from that distance. I don't know what his deal is. It's he's very defensive from this range. I don't know what the deal is, but he's got a very, very good short game. His history is okay. He's a decent putter, and he putts exceptionally well on Bermuda. Now, this is the reigning US Open champion who's going to be 13% owned. So if you're going to look for a guy that's $9,800, like we said, you can pivot off of Sam Burns there quite easily with Matty Fitz. Russell Henley. Let's take a sip. Russell Henley. Brace yourself, folks. We love Russell Henley this week. 16th ranked golfer in the model. $7,800, 13% owned. That's not bad at all, considering. Look at this. He's the first 7K guy. The first was Tom Kim. The next was Russell Henley. Tom Kim was 8. Russell Henley, $7,800. First 7K guy to make it in the rankings here. Now, what do we like about Russell Henley? Well, let's take a little gander. Russell Henley, behind Colin Morikawa, is the second best approach player in this field. That includes world number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever the hell their numbers are. Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Victor Hovland, Cam Smith, blah blah blah. Emiliano Grillo. We got stud muffins. Stud muffins. Let me just do a quick little sort from smallest to largest so you can see who Russell Henley is frequenting himself with at the top of this strokes gained approach baseline numbers. Colin, Russell, Willie Z. So Russell Henley is ahead of Willie Z, Justin Thomas, Hideki, Xander, Cam, Mito, Shane, and Victor. All of these guys are insanely good when it comes to strokes gained approach. They are so good. And Russell Henley has been hitting the ball good for so long. And now we get a Russell Henley whose recent approach play is 6th in the field over the last 12 rounds. It's 2nd over the last 8. So his last 2 tournaments, he's been striking the shit out of the golf ball with his irons. He's also the 9th most accurate guy on tour in this field. And then when it comes to good drives gained, which means you're pairing the approach and the driving stuff, he's 4th in this field. So we got these 2 dudes, 16th and 17th, Corey and Russell. Beautiful stuff. However, Corey's recent approach play not so hot like Russell's, but we're getting distracted. We're getting very distracted. Russell Henley is our outright at 55-1 on Bet Rivers. I think there's still 50s out there. Go grab a Russell Henley. This guy is peaking. He's been unlucky. He's been nervy. He's been scary. But 50-1 odds for Russell Henley when he's hitting his irons this well, you can do it. We've seen the last few winners have lost strokes putting. Okay, so that's what gets nervy with Russell. This guy's dialed when it comes to his approach play. Absolutely dialed. In putting, 111th in a field of 122 people. Not good. But guess what? He's putting on Bermuda grass now, which is better than his baseline. It's 46th versus 73. Love to see that. The course history is ass, but that happened in 2017. I don't know if he was the same ball striker he is now, and his current form is just exceptional. So we've got Russell Henley for a first-round leader. We've also got that other guy, Cam Smith, for a first-round leader. That's also going to go to St. Jude if Cam Smith cashes a first-round leader. I don't want that money. It's blood money. We're done. I can't cash it out because it's going to be cashing out like at a third of the price. So we can't even do it. But Russell Henley is 60-1, I think, on FanDuel to go and grab himself a first-round leader bet. And then, just to jump back to Rory McIlroy. He's averaged six strokes gained in round one over the last 6 Thursdays. 6 strokes gained total on the field over the last 6 Thursdays he's played in. That's incredible golf. So Rory McIlroy comes out the gate firing. He absolutely fires on first-round leader bets. Tom Jacobs was the first person to get on this very early on. We're now doing it to 26-1 on FanDuel. Go grab yourself a first-round leader for Rory McIlroy. For first-round leader, you can't get him. It's 9-1 to win the thing. So just go grab that first-round leader. It's probably more of a lock than an outright anyway, and it's way better odds. So that's what's going on there. But Russell Henley, we love how his approach play is just, look at this. It's absolutely trending right back to where he is as a premier ball striker. The Bermuda putting is fantastic, and he makes a crap ton of birdies, people. Makes a lot of birdies. That 83rd is from 2017. We're going to ignore that a little bit. Corey Connors, $7,600, 15% owned. I love what Corey's doing. 15% ownership is pushing it. Maybe a Mito Pereira or an Emiliano Grillo. We'll get there. Where's HV3? Where's Brian, my man? HV3's down here. We'll get to him. Hang with us, buddy. Hang with us. We'll have another sippy. So Corey Connors, we love what he's doing. Couldn't get to the top 40 odds at -115. Can't really get to him at 15% ownership. If you're going to, feel free. There's people that you can play. You got to just choose your battles. 15% ownership, Corey Connors. You can't play him with a Tony Finau and a Sam Burns. That's the thing. You can play chalk. Feel free to play as much chalk as you, not as much chalk as you want, but feel free to play chalk because these guys are chalk for a reason, and you have to sometimes pick your battles, but don't go and play all the chalk. You got to make sure that your lineup stays somewhere under 90%-ish, 70%. Like, I'm very aggressive. I try and stay under 70%. That's just my style. So if I go with the Corey Connors, it only leaves me with like another 65% worth of percentages. And we've got guys up here that are really high owned, but you can go with like a Scotty Scheffler and a Corey Connors. And then all of a sudden you're sitting at 27-30%, which is basically the same thing as Sam Burns. And you've got 2 thoroughbreds. So there's a lot going on that you can do. That's just a quick little DFS 101 for you. Corey Connors is a really good play at $7,600. The ownership is a bit of a concern. Use that as you feel. The good drives gained. The baseline proximity numbers are nice, and he also isn't, his putting has been getting better lately. It's definitely been getting better lately. So definitely go for Corey Connors there. And then let's scoot down here. We've got Corey Sungjae and Shane Lowry, 85 and 83. 2 guys, I bet Shane Lowry last week. He left the freaking state. He left North Carolina and flew back to Florida after he thought he missed the cut. We all knew that there was a definite chance the cut could go back to wherever it was going to go to. Had to fly back on his private jet, which he posted a photo of, to come back and then play over par golf for the rest of the week when Tom Kim's out here shooting 9 under par in 1 round. Shane Lowry, I don't know what his deal is. One of the best ball strikers in the field, typically. Everything about his approach game is sensational. So if you're kind of willing to go to 16% Shane Lowry at $8,300, I understand. But the putting, look at this putting, has been crap. There's not that much big of a difference between his baseline and Bermuda putting, so you can't really hope for anything there. But his course history has been good. So if you're kind of a course history fondue, voodoo doll guy, There's the history for you. Shane Lowry's 15th in this field. $8,300. That's a very good price for a guy that's been contending a while ago. His recent form is kind of crappy. 37th over the last 24 rounds. So has he gone off the boil? Maybe. So we're going to go back to Jordan Spieth, though. We like Jordy. The accuracy and stuff is terrible, but the course history is nice, so we know it suits his eye. Got Kevin Lane. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers to you. Have another sip. The intensity was slow to start off with, but you know what? We got into some DFS chat and some gambling stuff, so it kind of really invigorated me again. We're not going to talk about that other Australian that really screwed us today. Thank you for tuning in, my man. Really appreciate it. So Mito Pereira is an interesting character. He's one of those guys that hasn't played a lot. I don't think he's played since the Open. And he wasn't playing very good leading up into that situation. So when you get guys like that, you can really take advantage of it. And hopefully this little break, he's gone back, revitalized himself, chilled out. I know when I go on a camping trip, sometimes I come back. My next podcast is way more intense than this one. I'm just kidding. This one's pumped up. It's fueled by rum. But it's been a while since he's played well. He's been off for a while. Maybe he comes back. You can take a gamble on him. He's only going to be 4% owned, $7,500. He's 21st in the model. So if he resorts back to his baseline stuff, look at this approach play from Mito. It's all very, very nice. It's been the putter. The putter's been the biggest problem. 70th in the field, not very, very good. So if the short game can bounce back, hopefully he's just been chipping and putting his ass off while he's been, on vacation. The proximity number is not that sexy, but he's $7,500. So you're willing to kind of take advantage of that. And he's good drives gained and accuracy. He's a very good driver with the golf ball, apparently. So we love a Mito at $7,500, 4% owned. Yes, this is one of the lowest owned guys in the. Yeah, between him and Seamus, it's been. Oh boy, sorry, I keep getting distracted with these comments. It's nice to have you guys in the chat here. My girlfriend is from Polokwane, so I consider myself an honorary South African. Well, I appreciate that, Brian. It seems like Polokwane had a really good week this week with the South African rugby team kicking New Zealand's butt over there. So congratulations to your girlfriend and myself and you, because you are now one of the honorary South Africans. But anyway, getting back to Mito Pereira, $7,500, 4% owned. Hello, let's go, Mito Pereira. Absolutely love that. The proximity numbers we can stomach at this ownership, at this price, absolutely let's go. He was one value point off. If he was -1 plus 121 for a top 40, we'd bet that ASAP. So that's what's going on with Mito. And he's right there by Aaron Wise and Corey Connors and Russell Henley again. So if you want to get a good feel of how ownership's going to shake out, just sort the salary column. Things really make sense to you. Mito Pereira, 4%. There we go. Aaron Wise, my boy Ryan Noonan, big fan of Aaron Wise. Recent approach play, being a bit rough. I think he had some bad holes coming down the stretch last week, trying to make it over water from the rough. The Bermuda rough is very penal, but we know that Aaron Wise is a good ball striker. We know that he can keep it tidy around the greens, makes a decent chunk of birdies, 14% owned, $7,700. I don't know. Aaron Wise, not the worst pick, depending on how you tolerate your chalk. Joaquin Niemann, also one of these guys, $8,100. Can't say I'm in love with his recent putting, but also he putts really, really well on Bermuda. So maybe this is the week to go to him. His good drives gained aren't that bad. He's pretty accurate. We've seen him play well at like the Genesis. I know that was a long time ago. But when you need these tight driving courses, sometimes these guys really just get focused on what's going on and go for it. But there's a reason why he's not necessarily up there. He's 23rd in the model, 10% owned, $8,100. I don't know. I'm not convicted with him. Max Homa, on the other hand, if you look at this recent approach play, okay, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to hide this just in case you see what else is going on here. I'm going to pull up something quickly for you guys. This is something I don't typically do, but this is the vault, okay? And I don't know how it's going to work out. Yes, Mito. I was looking at him. So look at Mito. Mito's recent approach play, has been really good. It's been the putting. Look at all this red over here recently. So not so sexy for Mito. But let's do Max Homer quickly. Let's go Homer. Okay, so Max Homer, when he's played at TPC Southwind, he's finished 51st. He's finished. There's nothing too good with CPC Southwind for Max at all. So his course history is rather blah, but we know that he's not the same golfer. He's okay. I'm showing you guys some stuff that you can't even see. So his course history at this venue is the best finish he's had is a T51, which is no good. But we know Max Homer's completely transformed his whole game the last year. And guess what? We got a Rocket Mortgage, which was the last event he played in. And the approach play has kind of gone off the boil. But the last 3 rounds of Max Homer's most recent events since the Open, which was over a month ago, has been good. So he's come back. He's strung 3 rounds together. Very nice stuff. He gained off the tee all 4 rounds at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. We can expect a very similar performance from him. He finished 24th and had an abysmal first round. He lost 4.27 strokes on approach. So that's not very good from Max, but you know what I'm saying. So you got to really pay attention to how the time frames work in the strokes gain metrics. So Max Homer, love him this week, wherever he is. Over here. And then we're going to get a Seamus Power. This podcast is taking a little while. Got a big ramble in the beginning, so just bear with me. Thanks, guys. I know I've been bringing some fire with courtesy of the whatever this stuff is. Seamus Power, $7,600, 5% owned. You know, if you've watched this channel, Seamus Power is our guy. We love him. He's been out of sight, out of mind. Good drives gained, 17th baseline. Yes, approach play inside the top 50, whatever. Recently been struggling. But guess what? This dude, course history at this venue, very, very nice stuff. Even when he wasn't the Seamus Power that he is now, he was doing well at this course, even like in the 2000s and 17s and 18s and 19s. He was doing well. Now he's Seamus Power, numbered like top 50 in the world. Coming back to a venue like this that suits his game. It's eighth in course history. So we're definitely going to go to him at $7,600, 5% owned. Hello. We know Seamus Power plays well in big events. He made the first 3 cuts in his major career and then blew it at the Open, which should have been the best chance he had of doing well because Seamus is from Ireland and they played in Scotland. So why did he missed the cut? But he had a top 10, a top 20, and a made cut at Augusta, which is a very, very history-dependent course. So he fires. When it comes to big events, he plays very difficult golf courses as well. The scores that have happened here in the past are minus 16, minus 11, minus 16. So he doesn't have to make that many birdies, even though he's 21st in the field. He avoids bogeys pretty nicely. We love Seamus Power. Let's go. It's been a long time since he's played as well. Out of sight, out of mind. Cameron Young, $9,300, 14% owned. He's hit or miss. He's very good off the tee. I don't know. I'm just going to blow over him quickly because I want to get to Emiliano Grillo. Emiliano Grillo is going to be 3% owned. Call it 6% owned for safety, which is totally fine by me still. He's 27th in the model. He's the first guy that's a flat 7K. A flat 7K. And what about Emiliano Grillo's game intrigues us? Well, baseline-wise, 125 to 200 yards. He's 7th in the field. We love to see that. Good drives gained. He's 10th. Accuracy, he's 23rd. Off the tee, last 24, 15th. Off the tee baseline, 17th. Yes. Birdie or better for Emiliano Grillo. 23rd in the field. He's $7,000 in DraftKings, folks. Yeah. Let's go. Lock him up. 40% owned. 30% owned. That's 10 times the field. If you're looking for a leverage play that's got high upside, it's Emiliano Grillo. His last 3 starts on the PGA Tour have been second, miscut, second. Maybe there's a miscut on the horizon. Who the hell knows? However, the miscut was at the Open. The other 2 seconds happened right here in the United States of America, people. So, Emiliano Grillo, 7K, 3% owned. BetMGM has him at plus 125 for a top 40. Yes. Hello. Sign us up. Last 24 rounds in this field, he's 32nd. And they're giving us plus 125. Sounds like a nice bet value to me. Love Emiliano Grillo here. The ball striking stuff is phenomenal. And then guess what? The putting is very average in general, but he puts better on Bermuda. So it's all good. We love Emiliano Grillo. Mateus Schwab, Brian, I'm not going to get into him. I don't really necessarily care too much about him. I haven't seen him popped up in the model. So I don't know. You know what? You've stuck with me, dude. I'm going to deviate a bit from plan. He's $6,100. Just looking at eyeballing his stats. I mean, the recent approach play is kind of trending, isn't it? But it's typically that it's just everything else about his game is just terrible. I don't know, dude. I don't even know what the cut number is this week. I'm assuming there's 125 people in the field and the cut's going to be 65. So he only has to beat like 60 people. But he's all the way, what was he? He's 104th in the model. So I'd probably say no. I'd probably leave him alone. If you want to play him in DFS, feel free. The approach play is right there. So that's not a bad DFS play, maybe, but I don't know. I wouldn't say he's that good. So Emiliano Grillo, there he is, 3% owned. He's going to be one of my big time plays this week. Absolutely love him. Keegan Bradley next up. Absolutely love Keegan Bradley. If he's going to be under 10% owned, I'll definitely play him too. The recent approach play, garbage. Absolute hot garbage. But the not so recent, the last 24 rounds, he's 18th in the field and he's baseline, he's 15th. His proximity numbers are sexy. 27th over the last 24 rounds from 125 to 200 yards, which we know is 65% of the shots. Very important here. The around the green play is typically very tidy. It hasn't been that good lately. Not the best on Bermuda. But guess what? Keegan Bradley's recent putting, this includes 4 rounds that happened in Europe on links golf courses. Okay, so I don't know how much Aim Point Express can help you there, but I know Keegan does Aim Point, and I know that he's excelled using it on PGA Tour courses in America. So hopefully he can kick some ass. I'm going to go to him. He's a cheap salary saver. He's a guy I've been going to a lot this year. Hopefully he can keep it rolling. I love Keegan Bradley. The ball, look at this ball striking. You know this is a ball striker's paradise, just waiting for good putting to happen. Let's go to Keegan Bradley. Mark Hubbard, another guy. Plus 150 for a top 40 from Mark Hubbard. Mark Hubbard's distance is 117th in the field. Not very good, but his accuracy and good drives gained is right up there in the top 30. 32nd in accuracy, 25th in good drives gained. Love to see that. And look at this. Everything about Mark Hubbard's game on approach is very, very good. 31st in baseline approach, 19th recently. From 125 to 200, he's very, very good. He's 14th in this field of elite ball strikers, of the world's very best. In this field, he's 14th. He putts well in general. He's putting well lately. He's inside the top 35 in both those metrics. And he's got an okay course history. He's finished 34th here. I know there might be older tournaments. It is what it is. We run out of rum. Now we're going to water. Tom Hoagie. This is a very sneaky play, folks. $6,800, 4% owned. Look at these proximity numbers here as well. 125 to 200 is 9th and 15th in those rankings. Absolutely love that. His recent approach play is 20th. His baseline approach play, 14th. The distance off the tee is 94th, which is crappy. It is what it is. But accuracy and good drives gained, he's up there. And he hasn't necessarily been playing that good golf. I think he's been trending in the right direction, been playing some good golf lately. So we've got Mark Hubbard for a top 40 at plus 150, and then we've got Tom Hoagie for a top 40 at plus 140. We love that from these two dudes. And I think Tom Hoagie is going to be a good sneaky play. $6,800. I love it. It's a very heavy course-dependent, approach-dependent course. Tom Hoagie's one of those guys that can really, really do that for you. So love to see that from him. And then here's my boy Brian. We're going to just brush over Billy Horschel. I don't like any of Billy's approach stats at all. So I'm actually just going to leave him, especially at 13% owned. I can't do it. Can't go to Billy Horschel at that ownership, especially with these approach numbers. Nothing over here is good. Nothing recent, nothing long-term, nothing about his game approach-wise is ideal. The short game is good. That's fine. But the course history is also good too. But this course is super, super, super important when it comes to dealing with approach play. So you want to make sure that the guys that are kicking ass on approach are doing it. And Billy isn't. Now we get to Harold. And this is the reason why he was on the blacklist. Because Brian, my man, let's pull this tweet up. Let's pull this up for you again. Here's a HV3. You asked earlier. Hoping to see the model is rigged, so HV3 is a good player. Someone who loves to play HV3. Now, Brian, I was obsessed with HV3 last year. And he just kept letting me down every single time I played him. I couldn't understand why the model kept kicking him out as a really good play. And then out of nowhere, he would just suck. And I guess the reason is the putting. You know, his baseline putting is 79th. Recent putting has been very bad. I know he putted a few balls off the green at the Wyndham last week. So you've got that going for him. But the approach play is absolutely stellar. Very, very good. And we know this venue requires really good approach play. But then also, you know, like he's very distant dependent on his driving ability. And his recent driving hasn't been that good either. But if you look at his ball striking, which includes the iron play, obviously, it's inside the top 40 recently. So Harold Varner as a DFS play is probably not the worst thing in the world, especially if he's going to be 5-ish%. I mean, there was a point in time where I think the Charles Schwab, he was like 18, 19, 20% owned. So he's fallen off in popularity, and that's okay. I'm cool with playing him at 5%, $7,400. The approach play, if you're going to lean on that, especially down in this range, it gives you a massive opportunity to really dive into guys that have a specific skill set that you can lean on. And when it comes to his, where is he over here? When it comes to his short game, anyone can have a good putting week anytime. So HV3 at $7,400, 5% owned. We'll make it ping for my man Brian. I think we'll sprinkle a little bit of him in there. I'm not betting him. I'm never betting HV3, but we'll play him in DFS because that's game theory. That's okay. Chris Kirk has gone off the boil. He doesn't have distance off the tee, but we used to like Chris Kirk's approach play. It's not good at all. His approach play has been terrible, but he's very tidy around the greens. At 7%, $7,400, I don't want to do anything too much more than other than go to Webb. That's what I'm giggling at. So HV3, sweet bud, go for it. Love HV3 this week in DFS. Webb Simpson, after he sucked really badly at the Wyndham, which is what he named his daughter after, it's tough to go back to that guy. So it is what it is. Can't go to Webb, $7,300, 2% owned. His game is just off the boil. His approach play, his short game, everything is nasty. It's very, very nasty. Now, 2% owned is ridiculous. So if you want to throw 5% Webb Simpson into your model, into your player pool, that's fine. He's 2% owned. He's not 10% owned like he was at the Wyndham last week. And he's still got a very good course history here. So if you're going to limit yourself to Webb Simpson exposure, go for it. Christian Bezuidenhout is going to be one of the guys that I'm a big fan of this week, and it's particularly because of the putting. So this golf course is known for the greens not being that difficult. Last week at the Wyndham, it was curving. You had Russell Henley was missing 6-foot putts by aiming a cup outside the left and then missing on the right-hand side. It was breaking. It was tough. These greens are way smaller. They're less nuanced. I think you can definitely get a guy like, who the hell were we even talking about? Christian, sorry. he's a very, very good putter. So if you give him like a very simple elementary putt to make, he's going to make it a lot of the time. And he's a very, very good putter. He's very good with the good drives gained. He's 12th in the field, and his proximity numbers are typically very good from 125 to 200. I mean, he's way up there when it comes to those. He's 15th in the field in baseline, recently not so hot. Got a good course history here. Bermuda putting is fantastic. General putting is great. We know these guys can really stack it up. So if you're looking for guys in the $7,500 range, Christian Bezuidenhout is one of those guys. Justin Rose, the only thing I'm going to say about him is he's really good at putting. The Bermuda thing, not so good. But there's one thing that he's got going for him. It's proximity numbers from 125 to 200. Recently and baseline, he's exceptional from those distances. So if you're looking to take a gamble on a 1% owned Justin Rose, let's rock and roll. We are going a little long. I don't care. We had a bit of a ramble. Let's keep going. Scott Stallings. This guy, he's 19th of the last 24 rounds in strokes gained total. And he's $7,100 is going to be less than 10% owned. I love Scott Stallings. The recent approach play has been trending in the absolute right direction. And he's a very, very good putter on Bermuda grass. And his course history here is inside the top 20 of those that have played here in the last 5 years. What is Scott Stallings doing at $7,100 under 10% owned? Let's go. Sign Scott Stallings up all day. All day. And then let's get to a few other guys. There's a guy I really want to speak about. His name is Troy Merritt. Let's find him. And he's all the way down here. Here we go. He's all the way down here because his baseline stuff is garbage. His distance off the tee is garbage. But his accuracy off the tee is 36th in the field. So just hear me out on the Troy Merritt pitch here real quick. $6,700, 3% owned. Hasn't caught too much steam yet. He should be catching steam because his last 12 rounds. And if you're looking for a guy to take a gamble on in the $6,700 range, this is that guy. He is 26th on putting on Bermuda of the last 24 rounds. Last 50 rounds on Bermuda, he's 26th. He's a really good putter in general. His proximity numbers over the last 24 rounds from 125 to 200 are 32nd, and his strokes gained approach over the last 12 rounds is 5th. So his last 3 tournaments have been phenomenal ball striking performances. And guess what? We're going to a course that requires extreme emphasis on approach play. And Troy Merritt at $6,700 in a field that's absolutely loaded with ball strikers and premier players on tour. Troy Merritt, over the last 12 rounds, is 5th in strokes gained approach. So I love that about him, and his accuracy off the tee is 36th. So he's going to be driving the ball in the fairway. He doesn't have that much distance, but we've discussed accuracy over distance is paramount here. The Bermuda rough can absolutely chew you up. He keeps it on the short stuff. That's what we love to see. Gives him that little mini domino in the fairway. First one falls. Accuracy on approach, the next one falls. Then the good putting that he has, that one's falling. The next thing you know, Troy Merritt's winning this goddamn golf tournament. That's all I'm saying. Troy Merritt has been trending in the right direction on approach. You never know. It could absolutely fizzle out right away. But it is what it is. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, Brian. I appreciate your comment. It is amazing. We're growing it. 4 viewers is a lot. I typically only get like 1 or 2. So we are rocking and rolling. I appreciate all 4 of you that are in here right now. We're kicking ass. It's an hour and 13 minutes into the stream, but it is what it is. We're going. Then let's finish up here. You know Stuart Sink. Love Stuart Sink. Okay. And then Adam Svensson. Adam Svensson is another guy that I'm absolutely obsessed with because his approach proximity numbers are also phenomenal. He's been putting really well lately, and he's been a guy that's been up in the 8K range for the last little while. 8, 9K, owned 15%. Now he's $6,700, 3% owned. Everyone's forgotten about him. We go into a course that requires accuracy off the tee. Guess what? Adam Svensson's 58th. He's $6,700. So 58th isn't that terrible. And his approach play over the last 24 rounds is 47. So we've got some decent stuff here. And those proximity numbers are very, very inviting. So there's a lot going on for Adam Svensson. If he can keep his stuff around the greens taken care of, the putting has got phenomenally better. recently, and he's 3% owned. You only have to play him in 10% of your lineups to get triple leverage on the field. So we're going to go there, absolutely. Troy Merritt is a guy that we are absolutely going to go to. Joel Damon as well. I love his accuracy off the tee. Oopsie. I love Joel Damon's accuracy off the tee. I love his proximity numbers, but just the short game is a hot mess. But look at this course history as well. For Joel Damon, $6,400, 1% owned. Hello, let's go. So that's what's going on there. And then we're going to keep scrolling down here to Sam Ryder, the cheapest guy in the field at $6,000, 0% owned. So maybe after the 5 people that are watching right now, it's going to be 1%. But what do we like about Sam Ryder? Well, he's accurate off the tee, 68 in accuracy, which we love to see. And then his proximity numbers from 125 to 200, baseline-wise, is 25th in the field. So he hits them very close. He's very aggressive when it comes to his irons, apparently, which is really, really cool to see. And he's 6K. He's 6K in DFS, folks. So Sam Ryder, 6K, barely owned, not owned, basically. Accuracy off the tee, about field average. And then guess what? We got Bermuda putting for Sam Ryder. He's very good on putting on Bermuda. So you add those 3 things together, accuracy, proximity numbers, putting on Bermuda. It's a recipe for upside. I'm not saying it's going to happen. There's a reason he's $6,000, but he's 70-30 in my model and he's 6K. And you can kind of throw Doug Gim in the same bucket, but he's not as good a putter on Bermuda. So just know that. Aaron Rye, my guy Ron Kloss, has a big fan of Aaron Rye. And then let's keep scrolling down here. Anna Barnley here, he played really well last week, so we can see what he can get up to. And then, yeah, Brandon Wu played really well as well, but, you know, the ball striking has definitely been there off the tee, approach, all of that stuff. But the putting, wow, the putting got bad last week on primetime TV. But guess what? The Bermuda putting, very, very nice to see from Brandon Wu. And I think, you know, if he's going to be 1% owned, $6,800, especially with his recent ball striking, look at all this stuff. It's been good. We got in a sea of red down here in the 6K range. He's okay. So if you like a Brandon Wu for yourself, go for it. Here's my buddy Jason. He said thoughts on Streb Daddy as a 6K dart throw. I don't know what my eyes are doing so now, so I'm going to just actually search him for you. There's Robert Streb. Apologies for all the blue. Ooh, well, Bermuda putting, last 50, 38th in the field. Accuracy off the tee, 72nd. Okay, and look at that recent approach play, my dude. Ooh, we got to love a bit of Robert Streb. All right, we'll make him yellow. I don't like him as a pink option, but we'll definitely throw him into the mix as a little bit of a sprinkle. Thank you for that shout out, Jason. That was look at this approach play for a guy that's a flat 6. He's basically the same profile as Sam Ryder, who I was absolutely talking a lot about here. So if we compare him to Sam Ryder recently, he's actually off the tee is doing even better. And the accuracy is right there. The recent approach play is awesome. The proximity numbers, not so hot compared to Sam or anyone. They're actually very bad. But those proximity numbers have been over the last 2 years. He's got approach play that's 54th in the field over the last 12, which is the last 3 events he's played in, which isn't too bad either. The Bermuda putting, love to see that. And he's actually a good putter in general. 6K Robert Streb in the FedEx Cup playoffs. Why the hell not, dude? Let's do it. That's what's cooking over here. So yes, folks, thank you so much for joining. I had a fun time putting this together. It was going to be a rough show, but we kind of got into the zest. I really appreciate all of you in the comments. Really, really appreciate you guys showing up. Let's have a good week. Let's really root for Tom Kim, Russell Henley, and Emiliano Grillo. I've got Emiliano Grillo for an outright at plus 150. Go grab him out there too. Rory McIlroy for a first-round leader at 26-1 when he's 9-1 to win the tournament. Over the last little few rounds in the first on Thursdays, he's like gaining 6 strokes on the field. The guy's just coming out firing every single time. That's what's cooking there. Thank you for tuning in, folks. We love you all. Back Down Bets, as always, brought to you by Rotoballer and we'll catch you guys next week. Have a good rest of your week, friends.